Hello learners, welcome to the MA class of English again. I am your teacher Renuka Verma and this is the official YouTube channel of the Department of English, Government College, Sirohi. So in the earlier class we talked about the Indian English novelists and the narrative technique that and the peculiarity of the novels of Anita Desai. In today's class we are going to talk about the novel which is prescribed in our syllabus, Cry the Peacock. Cry the Peacock is Anita Desai's first novel, and this novel is divided into three sections. So if we talk about the structural technique, the structure of the novel, it is divided into three parts. In the first part, we get a short introduction and conclusion, an overall conclusion, which is given in a third person narrative. And in the second section, we get a long subjective narrative which is told by the neurotic heroine Maya. Maya, the protagonist, the heroine of the novel. In Maya's narrative, in the middle section, we see that Desai employs stream of consciousness to fill in details of Maya's past and also to describe the deterioration, the continuous deterioration of Maya's relationship with her husband Gautama and her own mental collapse. So we can see that in the middle section, Desai employs the stream of consciousness. What do we mean by stream of consciousness? These kind of novels or these kind of narratives are a technique in which the narrator tells the story in a very subjective tone, in a subjective voice, and when we come across a psychological novel or a psychical novel, we see that often the novelists employ this technique because while employing this technique, they are free to unlock the subconscious level and the subconscious happenings and thoughts and stream which is going on subconsciously or unconsciously in the character's mind. So the technique helps the narrator to unlock all the details of all the internal and psychical details of the character which the character is going through during the happenings of the novel. So in this novel also we see that Desai is employing the stream of consciousness technique to give voice to the psychical tumult of Maya's obsessiveness and Maya's deterioration from a pampered child to a mental and insane wife of Gautama. In the last part, in the climax, we see that Maya is a slave, has become a slave to the fate which she has feared so far, she has been fearing so far, and in a fit of frenzy, she kills Gautama, her husband, in accordance with the prophecy of an astrologer. So in the last part, the last part is a very small one, and this part we see in this section we see that novel ends with her total mental collapse. So in her first novel, Cry the Peacock, which was published in 1963, Desai portrays the psychic tumult of a young and sensitive married girl, Maya. So Maya is a very pampered, very sensitive and a very protected kind of a girl who is haunted by a childhood prophecy of a fatal disaster that one of the couple, either she or her husband, will die within 4 years of their marriage. So she is haunted by this childhood prophecy which she heard from an albino astrologer, and she is the daughter of a rich advocate in Lucknow. She is all alone in the family. She is the only child of a rich father, and her mother being dead and brother having gone to America. So she is all safe. She lives in a fairy tale world which is protected by her rich father. So she gets the most of her father's affection and attention, and in her moments of affliction, she exclaims that no one else loves me as my father does. So she is a pampered and very beloved and protected and very sensitive kind of a person, a daughter who is very lucky and who feels very safe in her fairy tale world. This excessive fatherly love which she gets turns her have a lopsided view of life. So she feels that life is a bed of roses. She lives in a very fairy tale kind of a world which is provided by her father. So she feels the world to be a toy made especially for her, painted in her favorite colors. So she has a world which is painted in her own favorite colors and in her own favorite tunes, which sounds according to her own tunes. So this carefree life under the protection and attention of a loving father, Maya desires to have the similar attentions from her husband Gautama. But Gautama, what is the tragedy? The tragedy is that Gautama is a busy, prosperous lawyer who is too much engrossed in his own vocational affairs, and that's why he fails to meet the sensitive demands, the demands of her sensitive wife. That is why she feels very neglected and miserable after marriage. So the fairy tale world that she used to enjoy in the company of her father is lost after the marriage, after her marriage was with Gautama. And she becomes very lost. She is lost and very reserved. And when her husband Gautama sees her morbidity, he also warns her of her turning neurotic and blames her father's extra love and care for spoiling her. So we see that the excessive care and love of a father and the astrology by the albino astrologer that one of them would die, and the carelessness of Gautama, the pragmatic and practical husband, turns her into a very lost personality who has nothing to deal with but with her own fears and neurotic tumult. So, although the reason for Maya's neurosis is not her father alone or not her father fixation alone, though it aids to hasten her tragedy, but what is the reason behind her tragedy is that the continuous and the incessant obsession of the prediction by the albino astrologer of death, that either for her or her husband within 4 years of their marriage one of them would die. So the terrifying words of the prediction, like the drumbeats of the mad demon of Kathakali ballads, rings. So the very terrifying words of the death of one of them beats, because she is all alone in the house, she is left all alone by her own, and she has no one to care or to talk to. So that's why the terrifying words, the prophecy, repeatedly beats in her ears like the mad demon dance of Kathakali ballads, and it continuously ring in her ears, and that's why she becomes insane, and all these things makes her unnerved. She knows that she is haunted by a black and evil shadow, the shadow of the prophecy. Her fate and the time has come. So because now the 4 years of the marriage has been completed, she thinks she is completely lost in the thought that it was now the time to be either or to be either Gautama or she will die. So we have seen that the heroine, the protagonist, Maya, is all lost in her own thoughts. She has been she has so far she has lived a very carefree and very pampered kind of a life, but after marriage she is left on her own, and her psychical tumult and her fears and the silence within and in the house grows louder and louder, and she is ultimately losing her grip over her senses. So let's see what happens in the middle section of the novel. Enough for today. Thank you.